Hey everyone and welcome. So, if you're on an H1B visa, you know all about that 6-year limit, right? But what happens when your green card process is just stuck, and that deadline is creeping up on you? Well, today we are going to break down the one critical rule that could be your absolute lifeline. I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? You've built a whole life here, a career, and now you're just staring at a calendar, facing this deadline that could force you to leave. And it's all because of processing delays that are completely out of your hands. But don't worry, there is a solution, and we're going to get right into it.
Okay, so before we jump into the fix, we really need to understand the problem itself. It's this thing that hangs over so many H1B holders, what I like to call the 6-year cliff.
Okay, so the basic rule is pretty simple. As an H1B professional, your time in the U.S. under that status is capped at 6 years. It's a hard stop that's just built right into the system. Now, for a lot of people, 6 years is plenty of time. But if you're going for a green card, man, that clock starts ticking fast and it can cause a ton of stress and uncertainty.
This is really the million-dollar question. I mean, with the backlogs for employment-based green cards stretching out for years, sometimes even decades, that 6-year limit can feel totally impossible. So what are you supposed to do? Does everyone just have to pack their bags and go home? Well, thankfully, the answer is a big no. And it's all thanks to a really important piece of legislation.
And this is where that lifeline comes in. It's from a law called the American Competitiveness in the 21st Century Act, or, as everyone calls it, AC-21. We're going to zero in on one specific part of it that basically builds a bridge right over that 6-year cliff.
This right here is the heart of it all. Section 106A of AC-21 creates this incredibly important exception. Basically what it says is this: if your PERM, your labor certification, or your I-14 immigrant petition has been stuck in processing for at least 365 days, then boom, you can start applying for H-1B extensions, even past that 6-year mark.
It really all comes down to this single number, 365, 1 year. If your green card application has been filed and is pending for that long before your 6 years are up, a door to an extension swings wide open. That number is everything. It's the key that turns that scary cliff into a much safer bridge to your future.
Okay, so it's one thing to know the rule exists, right? But how do you know if you actually qualify? Let's walk through the exact checklist that immigration officers use to see if you're eligible for this 1-year extension.
All right, according to the official guidance, there are really 3 main boxes you have to check. First, if your labor certification is approved, it has to be unexpired when you file. Second, and this is the big one, that labor cert or I-14 has to have been filed at least 365 days before you hit your 6-year H-1B limit. And third, well, the rest of your extension petition has to be approvable. And listen, this is a huge deal for families. Getting this extension is what also allows an H-4 spouse to apply for their work permit, their EAD. So this isn't just about one person's status, it can affect the whole family's ability to work.
This table really lays it out perfectly. The key word here is pending. Your case is pending if it's still being reviewed, or even if it got denied but you're still in the process of appealing it. That keeps you in the game. But the second a labor certification expires or a denial becomes final, meaning you can't appeal it anymore, that's it. The door for this kind of extension closes.
Okay, so let's say you check all the boxes and you file your petition. What happens then? Do you get another 3 years? A whole new 6 years? Let's talk about what you can actually expect. Yeah, the guidance here is super clear. These extensions aren't some long-term pass. They're granted 1 year at a time. What this means in practice is that you're probably going to be doing this paperwork every single year, for as long as your green card case is still pending.
And that, of course, leads to the next logical question. If you can only get these 1 year at a time, is there a limit? Can you only get 2 or 5? I mean, is there another hidden limit waiting for you somewhere down the road? And the answer is, thankfully, pretty reassuring. There's no magic number, no cap, no lifetime limit. You can keep applying for and getting these 1-year extensions for as long as you need to, until your case finally gets what's called a final decision.
So what does that even mean, a final decision? Well, it's one of these 4 things. It could be a final denial of your labor cert, or if it was approved and then revoked. It could be a denial of your I-140 petition. Or, hopefully, it's the final approval or denial of your actual green card. Until one of those things happens, that 1-year extension lifeline is still there for you.
Okay, let's get into a scenario that I know a lot of you think about. You're on one of these extensions, everything's stable, And then you get a fantastic job offer from another company. Can you take it? What happens?
So first, a quick refresher on what H1B portability is. It's the rule that lets you switch jobs pretty smoothly. Basically, you can start working for the new company as soon as they've filed a valid H1B petition for you. You don't have to wait for the approval. But how does that work with your special extension?
And this part is so important. The 1-year extension you have with Company A does not just automatically move with you over to Company B. Your status is always tied to a specific employer's petition. For you to keep working past your initial 6 years with this new company, they have to file a completely new H1B petition for you.
But here's the really good news. While your approved extension doesn't move, your underlying eligibility does, so the new employer can file their H1B petition and, in it, they can use your long-pending green card case to ask for a new 1-year extension for you. And let me be super clear on this, because it's a common question. Even if you just got a 1-year extension with your old job that has, say, 10 months left on it, the new company files a fresh petition and can request a full, new 1-year extension. You don't just get the leftover time, it's a fresh start.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground here, from that 6-year cliff all the way to changing jobs while on an extension. So let's just boil it all down to the most important things you need to take away from all this.
So let's just run through the big takeaways one more time. First, that H1B 6-year limit, it's not always the end of the road. The 365-day rule is the bridge that gets you over it, as long as your green card case is pending. Remember, these extensions come in 1-year chunks, but there's no lifetime limit. And don't forget, this is a huge deal for families because it opens the door for H4 spouses to get their work permits. And finally, if you switch jobs, the new employer has to file a whole new petition for you.
So you see, the 365-day rule is an absolutely critical lifeline for when your case is pending. But there's actually another part of AC21 that can grant 3-year extensions for people who have an approved I-140 but are just stuck waiting for a visa number. It's a totally different rule for a totally different part of the process. But hey, that's probably a deep dive for another time. Thanks for joining me.